Howard Allan Stern, born January 12, 1954, is an American broadcaster and media personality. He is best known for his radio show, The Howard Stern Show, which gained popularity when it was nationally syndicated on terrestrial radio from 1986 to 2005. He has broadcast on Sirius XM Radio since 2006. Stern landed his first radio jobs while at Boston University. From 1976 to 1982, he developed his on-air personality through morning positions at WRNW in Briarcliff Manor, New York, WCCC in Hartford, Connecticut, WWWW in Detroit, Michigan, and WWDC in Washington, D.C. He worked afternoons at WNBC in New York City from 1982 until his firing in 1985. In 1985, he began a 20-year run at WXRK in New York City. His morning show entered syndication in 1986 and aired in 60 markets and attracted 20 million listeners at its peak. In recent years, Stern's photography has been featured in Hamptons and WHIRL magazines. From 2012 to 2015, he served as a judge on America's Got Talent. Stern has won numerous industry awards, including Billboard's nationally syndicated Air Personality of the Year 8 consecutive times, and he is the first to have the #1 morning show in New York City and Los Angeles simultaneously. He became the most fined radio host when the Federal Communications Commission issued fines totaling $2.5 million to station owners for content it deemed indecent. Stern became one of the highest-paid radio figures after signing a 5-year deal with Sirius in 2004 worth $500 million. Stern has described himself as the king of all media since 1992 for his successes outside radio. He hosted and produced numerous late-night television shows, pay-per-view events, and home videos. Two of his books, Private Parts, 1993, and Miss America, 1995, entered the New York Times bestseller list at #1 and sold over 1 million copies. The former was made into a biographical comedy film in 1997 that had Stern and his radio show staff star as themselves. It topped the U.S. box office in its opening week and grossed $41.2 million domestically. Stern performs on its soundtrack, which charted the Billboard 200 at #1 and was certified platinum for 1 million copies sold. Stern's third book, Howard Stern Comes Again, was released in 2019. Howard Allan Stern was born on January 12, 1954, the second child of Ben, 1923 to 2022, and Ray, née Schiffman, Stern, born in 1927 in the Jackson Heights neighborhood of Queens in New York City. Stern's parents are Jewish, and their families are from Poland and Austria-Hungary. Ray was an office clerk in New York City before she became a homemaker and later took up work as an inhalation therapist. Ben served in the U.S. Army on Long Island and in California during the war. He later worked as a radio engineer at Human Manhattan and as a co-owner and operator at Aura Recording Incorporated, a Manhattan recording studio where cartoons and commercials were cut. Stern described his older sister Ellen as the complete opposite of himself and very quiet. In 1955, the family moved to Roosevelt, New York, on Long Island, where Stern attended Washington Rose Elementary School followed by Roosevelt Junior High School. Stern also attended Hebrew school where he was given the name Tzvi. As a youngster, Stern took 5 years of piano lessons and took an interest in marionettes, using them to entertain his friends with explicit shows. He formed a band with 2 school friends, the Electric Comic Book, on vocals and keyboards. From the age of 9 to his second year at university, Stern spent his summers at Camp WEL, a youth camp in Narrowsburg, New York, where he worked camper, kitchen, and counselor duties. He recalled his time there as the greatest experience. Stern wished to be in radio at the age of 5. He was an infrequent listener in his youth, but names talk personalities Bob Grant and Brad Crandall as early influences. His father set up a microphone, tape machine, and turntable in the basement of his home, which Stern used to record his make-believe radio shows, incorporating different characters in pre-recorded prank calls, sketches, and commercials. He made several visits to his father's recording studio and witnessed some of the great voice guys work with him, including Don Adams and Larry Storch voice Tennessee Tuxedo and his Tales, which began his desire to be on the air and do a show, rather than play records. In the late 1960s, Roosevelt became a predominantly black area. Stern remembered just a handful of white kids had remained in his school and repeated instances of bullying from black students. In June 1969, the family moved to nearby Rockville Center, and Stern, at age 15, transferred to Southside High School where he became a total introvert. He graduated from the school in 1972. His yearbook lists Stern's sole student activity, a membership of Key Club. In 1972, Stern declined a place at Elmira College to instead pursue a communications degree at Boston University, but his average high school grades caused him to spend the first 2 years in its College of Basic Studies. In his second year, he started work at the campus radio station WTBU, where he played records, read the news, and hosted interview programs. With 3 fellow students, he later co-hosted a weekly comedy show named The King Schmaltz Bagel Hour, which was initially canceled during its first broadcast for a racial sketch named Godzilla Goes to Harlem. Stern took cannabis, quaaludes, and LSD during his studies, but he quit after he experienced a difficult trip on too much LSD. In 1974, he gained admission to the university's School of Public Communications. He then studied for a diploma at the Radio Engineering Institute of Electronics in Fredericksburg, Virginia, in July 1975, which earned him a first-class radio telephone operator license, a required certificate for all radio broadcasters at the time, which was issued by the Federal Communications Commission. With the license, Stern landed his first professional radio job at WNTN in Newton, Massachusetts from August to December 1975, doing air shifts, newscasting, and production work. For the next 5 months, he taught students basic electronics in preparation for their own FCC exams. In May 1976, Stern graduated magna cum laude with a 3.8 grade point average. His major was broadcasting in film and his minor English and speech. In the past, he funded a scholarship at the university. Stern met his first wife, Allison Burns, while at Boston University through a mutual friend. He featured Burns in a student film he made about transcendental meditation. Stern wrote, "Within a week after our relationship began, I knew I was going to marry her." They married at Temple Ohabii Shalom in Brookline, Massachusetts, on June 4, 1978. Both were 24 years old. They have 3 daughters, Emily Beth, born in 1983, Deborah Jennifer, born in 1986, and Ashley Jade, born in 1993. In October 1999, they decided to separate. Stern said, "I was totally neurotic and sort of consumed with work. I took work as the most important thing and the only thing." He moved from the home he shared with Burns in Old Westbury, New York into a 4,000 square foot apartment in Millennium Tower in the Upper West Side of Manhattan, which he bought in 1998 for $4.9 million. The marriage ended in 2001 with an amicable divorce and settlement. Stern has since bought a home in Southampton, New York on Long Island. In the several months when Stern was single, he dated Angie Everhart and Robin Gibbons. He started seeing a psychotherapist. In 2000, he started to date model and television host Beth Ostrowski. He announced their engagement on his radio show on February 14, 2007. They married at Le Cirque restaurant in New York City on October 3, 2008. The ceremony was officiated by Mark Consuelos. In 2017, Stern purchased a home in Palm Beach, Florida, for $52 million. In the early 1970s, Stern's parents began to practice transcendental meditation and encouraged him to learn. Stern credits the technique with helping him quit smoking, achieve his goals in radio, beat obsessive-compulsive disorder, and cure his mother of depression. As of 1997, he continued to practice it. Stern has interviewed Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, the founder of the technique, and thanked him for relieving his mother's depression. Stern revealed his suffering with obsessive-compulsive disorder in Miss America. His condition originated while at university and continued into his radio career. As part of the Staff Revelations game on his radio show in January 2006, Stern revealed that he had undergone rhinoplasty and had liposuction under his chin in the 1990s. In 2012, Stern said he had adopted a pescatarian diet. In 2019, Stern revealed that he had a cancer scare 2 years prior, after a growth was found on one of his kidneys. It turned out to be a benign cyst. Stern is a longtime supporter and fundraiser for North Shore Animal League America. Stern and Ostrowski have been fostering cats in their Long Island home since 2014. Approximately 200 cats come through their home every year.